And we are live. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. As you guys can tell, I'm in a different environment this morning. As I mentioned yesterday, our last episode, I was going to be traveling, and thus that's why I wasn't the show yesterday. I was a little too preoccupied getting things in order, which is why I couldn't broadcast. But it's good to be on air, as always. For those watching it afterwards on Facebook and YouTube, just be aware you can always catch us live and have an opportunity to comment and have some of your questions or um, perspectives responded to live on air, right? As always. So, of course, that's at 7 a.m. So make it a point to try to catch it, right? I do have an action-packed episode today. Lots to talk about, particularly what's happened in the past few days, Haiti-wise. But we're going to get right into it shortly. I do want to talk about a few things. First, of course, on YouTube, we had a really cool episode. We featured two incredible businesses, Taxi Plus and Ref IT. Taxi Plus being the taxi moto company that is really revolutionizing the game in Haiti in terms of efficiency, price, and assurances. And so it's definitely a service you probably want to check out yourself uh, if and when you're in the country and you need quick, reliable transportation. Definitely consider using those guys and Ref IT. Even you guys stateside right now today, if you guys looking for some sort of really cool accessory or whatever it may be, you can go to refit.com. But check out the video first off. Take a quick look if you haven't seen it yet. It's on YouTube, Seejeanty. So go ahead, take a quick gander. I'll go ahead and update the link I have below to so you can also check the links down below. Of course, we had an incredible, I got to update that as well. We had an incredible, uh, I had an incredible opportunity to be featured on NPR. That article is out right now. I have to go ahead and update that link as well. And that's going to be below after the stream. So make sure to check that out. It was really cool. I can tell you though, as a kid who, NPR was something, I watched it, not watched, but listened to quite a bit, as a source for informative news. And of course, the folks being interviewed, like, man, that would be pretty cool if one day I get a chance to be on there and give my perspective of what I may be doing. And the fact that I've had two, count them, two such opportunities in as many weeks, that's fantastic. And of course, a big part of it is you guys, you guys who come and participate in these conversations every morning are a big part of the reason why I've been able to get out there. So again, thanks to y'all, and then much appreciated, right? Uh, but that's out, and it's gonna be on the radio today actually. So if you guys are stateside, whatever your local NPR station is, I should be on air. So very cool about that. That's a big milestone. Again, a milestone for all of us here, and of course, anyone who's new to the stream because of it, welcome to that. Of course, the Haiti Biz News site, everything we talk about here is on Haiti Biz News, right? Site. So it's at HaitiBizNews.com, right? So anything we talk about, everything we talk about, it's there, and it's a site that we created to go out into the interwebs, look for business-related stories that are going to impact your performance and what you're doing. A lot of it, right now, is politically based, just because the protests and the politics are just bleeding into any business activity right now. But nonetheless, it goes out, grabs pertinent information of what's going on in the country right now in Haiti, translated in English, right? A lot of the stuff out there as relates to Haiti isn't French. That doesn't help me much. Doesn't help a lot of people out much, especially since so much of the activity business-wise is coming from America and English-speaking Canada, and puts it in that language for you guys to be able to dissect. So HaitiBizNews.com. Do take a look at that. Also, bookhaiti.com. Once everything calms down, that is a site that exists. That we have travel agents, we have folks who can accompany you on a trip to Haiti, and there's full-fledged package itineraries that you can purchase to visit the country. And again, the reason I did it, not because I have any interest in like the tourism space, even though I like to partake, but actually be a player in it. It's really because all the stuff I'm doing, I get so many messages. Oh, Chris, I like what you're doing. I really want to come to the country now. And I didn't have a way to really ensure they had a good experience until bookhaiti.com. So do use and leverage that website for you and for your next trip. As always, we still have the Bonge GoFundMe. We're still trying to push that. They're pushing 25,000, halfway to their goal. There's still quite a bit of ways to go for those who aren't familiar with what happened to Bonge. They were negatively affected during the protest, and we're trying to help them raise funds to rebuild. And what Bonge was doing was something incredibly important. They were a business co-working space / incubator for Native Haitians that were looking to grow, looking to leverage the resources that were available in their homes. Internet isn't ubiquitous. They had one of the highest internet speeds in the country. Electricity isn't ubiquitous. They had electricity generators going for folks to be able to run their business, run their affairs, and they got totally eviscerated by a small amount of thuggish protesters. And so we're trying to get it back going. So of course we do. We're going to go ahead and put the link right here. So the Bonge GoFundMe. So do go check that out. We need that back in Haiti's ecosystem ASAP. And I'm gonna keep bothering you guys until that does happen. Right. And of course, for those who are coming in right now on YouTube and Facebook, share the stream. The value of what we're doing here really multiplies as we have people coming in, people commenting, people enjoying the conversation, because ultimately it's not just about a guy just yapping and giving you guys information. It's a back and forth that I hope we all can gain from tactically, strategically, and really leave each morning thinking, okay, I have a much improved game plan in terms of how to, do my part to get Haiti to where it needs to be. We had a few folks in the stream right now. Sammy Lammy, awesome name as always, is in the stream. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for the shout out, and you're part of that passion as well. You guys being in here are equally important to it all. So thank you, Sam. We have Keno David. Good morning to you as well. I appreciate the morning shout out. Thank you. So let's get started. Haiti Biz News Show, Monday to Friday, bring you news that's going to keep you informed, engaged, and reacting in the most optimal way for your business, investment, entrepreneur activity. Today is the 15th of October. Let's talk about it. The top of the headlines today, top of the headlines for a while, is the protests going on in Haiti right now. Week 6 of just continuing constant pressure from the population, from the opposition, to get Jovenel Moise out of power. And school still isn't happening. There's some schools, some places, maybe one day or two, but then right away they have to close because of announced major protests that disable any capacity for students and their parents to get their kids there and back safely. Not that there's threats of necessarily violence on these kids, but you can't necessarily walk through a crowd of thousands of people with your child in hand, right? Comfortably. And that's the concern for many parents. And remember, a lot of these schools have employees, teachers, and there is a degree of uncomfort for them to get back and forth between crowds, massive crowds of folks who, have frustrations that will lash out to maybe anything potentially, right? And so school remains closed. A lot of businesses are still operating in a very bare bones base manner. We have on Sunday we had, the photos are truly impressive. I mean, it feels like every single protest in Haiti gets larger, and it's hard to estimate exactly how many folks are a part of these protests right now. But my goodness, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say there was at least 100,000 folks in Sunday's protest. Sunday's protest in particular was very interesting because it was started and organized by artists, two artists in particular, Tijo, which is more of a comedian, and Isolé, who is really a very popular local Haitian artist, but certainly has a lot of connection with the youth. And those two artists sort of a kind of carnival. They had their carnival truck / float, and music was playing, and it was mostly peaceful. Probably the least protest that I saw that didn't degenerate because of a small percentage of people into something else, and it stayed very structured throughout the entire Sunday, right? And there's protests announced for the entire week. Each week, there's protests planned to go to different places in different areas. One day is supposed to go to the president's home again. Another day is supposed to go to the UN base where they're situated in Taba in Haiti. Another day is supposed to go to the U.S. Embassy. Another day is supposed to go to the OAS building. Another day, again, what the goal is not necessarily just to protest, but the goal here is to really concentrate each day on a particular pillar that the protesters believe are keeping President Jovenel Moise in power and in place. And this pressure is, there's no backing down. By the looks of it, every week I think, okay, maybe folks are losing steam. Maybe folks, the movement is slowing down, but no, it's every day. It's getting actually even stronger, and we're going to keep an eye on it, certainly. Let me take a look at the comments here on YouTube. We have Sarah Bernard. Mes amis, qui l'a fini? That's a great question, right? And well, until Haiti, until President Jovenel Moise, gets the message, right? That they want him to go, and most importantly, it's not just him leaving, but what comes next. There's been several commissions set up, almost 4 separate commissions now. Amir, even there might be talks of a diaspora commission as well, so the diaspora gets involved. There's documents that I've obtained that, there's countless associations within Haiti that basically have laid out, what they want. In particular, of course, always starting off with President Jovenel Moise leaving, but calls for new constitutions that are really looked at the failings of the most recent version and looking to address some of those issues. In particular, the large overhead of government administration, reducing senators, reducing deputies within the Constitution, reducing the amount of departments, and certainly have it very focused on actually getting things done and out of Parliament, rather than what it is right now, which is the past 3 years they've had only 7 laws, and the most recent law passed was one saying that Compa is a national heritage, which Compa is important, but certainly it's not. It doesn't go before passing a law on making business easier. It doesn't come before passing a law on helping individuals get health care much easier. It doesn't come before initiatives that should be focused on education, right? And so we're certainly keeping an eye on I mean, there's another, I mean, a massive, I mean, it's coming not just domestically, but there's associations of Latin America. There's Latin American. So, I mean, I read a recent declaration of over 60 plus associations in different countries from Argentina, Brazil, all Chile, you name all the Latin American countries, saying the same thing, that they stand with the Haitian people, and they are advocating for, of course, certainly a peaceful resolution, but a resolution that's more than just changing the head of the snake, but the entire animal itself, right? So Pierre Paul, good morning, my consistent friend. Always good to see you. Good morning. Pierre Paul says, speaking of Haiti Biz News, had read an article about Haiti and China expanding their business ventures. In fact, they did. I'm not sure. Well, there isn't necessarily. So here's what happened. So we had a representative, an ambassador, Lamotte, last name Lamotte, went over to China and basically met with the trade bureau head of China. But that's all that happened. There was no formal recognition of, because before China is going to do anything with Haiti, China is very clear. China says you need to recognize us as the legitimate, entity of the entire Chinese mainland, including Taiwan. You have to end any form of relations with Taiwan, and Haiti has not. Or the administration of President Jovenel Moise has not indicated they're going to go against their only lifeline right now, which is the United States, and side with China. So there's no, I mean, there's articles, because people have to write at something, in the 24-hour news cycle we're in, but there isn't any movement or any indication of a change in the position of Haiti vis-a-vis China. But thanks for that comment, Pierre Paul. I'm keeping an eye on it, but there's no movement on that. I got Farah Jackson. Farah, good morning. Good morning. Always good to see you. Always good to see Farah in here. So good morning. She says they understand the situation. If any of them, Jovenel would not leave. Jovenel is waiting on January to actually begin to run the country. Farah makes a great point. I think I mentioned this before on the cast, that what happens in January is that because there is no lower house, there is no chamber of deputies, zero, because there was elections supposed to happen this October to replace the lower house, and the vast majority of senators, there's over 50, only 10 are going to still have some remaining term time, right? And so that's certainly not enough for decorum in the upper house, and there's nobody in the lower house. And so the Constitution allows in these situations when you can't have an election for the president to rule by decree. So there is no checks or balances, just the president as king, in effect, starting in January. And so the push, if Jovenel somehow does manage over the next 2 months to weather this for the next 2.5 years that he's in power, he's going to be, in effect, a king for the next 2 years. He will be able to do anything and everything he wants without any pushback, legally speaking. And so, as you can imagine, he has an incredible amount of incentive, to try to weather this and stay in power, right? And of course, the opposition have incredible incentives themselves. The opposition leaders, politically entrenched political opposition, has incredible incentive to keep this going, to try to get him out before that happens, because that would be the worst possible scenario for them. But the question really is, can Haiti survive 2 months of no school, of road blockages, of an economy that isn't functioning. Can that happen? And I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just a guy seeing how the situations are in the country. And I can tell you, everyone I speak to, they haven't seen things at this level since the time of Ice did and his back and forth in the oysters, right? When he was being taken out and put back in and taken out by the U.S. government, right? So that's really the news and update from that perspective. Thanks for the comments. I do appreciate that. So let's jump into the next news story. And this is the news story we're gonna stay and really dive into for the next stretch of time here, because it's really important that we spend this time to do so. So we had a study out from the World Economic Forum, right? The World Economic Forum, the Global Competitiveness Report 2019. And Haiti's in it. That's as really as positive as I can get. Haiti's in it. And what it is, it's basically, it looks at multiple things within a country's environment and basically provides a ranking. It basically says, okay, well, here is and actually, before I get a little too deep in, I do have some comments here on Instagram. Let me take a look. We have Eastland, my good friend. How are you, my dear? Good morning. So because the U.S., we won't partner with China. Yeah, that's basically it. The U.S. does not want, the geopolitical situation with China and Taiwan to go a particular way, even though they themselves, under Reagan, recognize China as the one legitimate power for the entire Chinese mainland. It's in their interest still for other countries not to go that way, because then if no one recognizes Taiwan, then they have free reign to invade, and it won't be much for America to do or say, because it will sort of be like China invading or America invading Florida, right? Florida, no one would say, hey, anything on that, because everyone would recognize Florida is a state of America, and if Florida wants to succeed, they have no legal right to do so. And the U.S. federal government has full right to then invade Florida, and sort of that's what they're trying to prevent. President Moise, whose entire legitimacy relies currently on the backing of the national community, because he has no legitimacy right now domestically, certainly, will not do anything to piss his international backers off. And that includes voting against Venezuela, despite the fact that the vast majority of Haitians in Haiti have tremendous respect for Venezuela, and doing things such as, even though China has provided a complete do-over of Port-au-Prince, I'm talking trash removal systems, canals rebuilt, electricity, you name it. I mean, within 5 to 10 years, Port-au-Prince could be a modern city on par with any great city in the world. And of course, there's always discussions, and you're welcome, and I welcome those discussions, that as it relates to, the debt trap that China offers, poor countries, and the risk. And I welcome that. I welcome that conversation. We can have that. I'm totally open to it, right? Totally open to it. But what I'm not open to is the fact that we, as a sovereign country, are unable to make choices for ourselves, right? And the fact that we are beholden to another country, right? Imagine if the U.S. had to ask permission to Russia to do anything, and that's sort of the situation we're kind of in. We're in a country that is unable to do things that is in itself's best interest, right? But anyhow, thanks. I wanted to give Eastland a quick response there on Instagram, and do appreciate the comment, Eastland, right? And so let's go back to competitive matrix. Let's go back to that. Right. So what it is, it looks at several factors, right? Several factors and gives a score, each factor and an overall score, right? And so some of the things they look at, and we'll get into each individual one, right? We have institutions, infrastructure, ICT adoption, macroeconomic stability, health, skills of the workforce, the product market. Zoom a little bit on that. Right, you have the product market, the labor market, financial system, market size, business dynamism, and innovative capability. Right, those are all of the subsets that make up their ranking. Right, and what we're going to talk about, is each one, but not just report it just for the sake of reporting. But what we're going to do is talk about how exactly we can, how can the country move forward for each individual indicator. Now, Haiti within the Latin American region, that includes the Caribbean and South America, is dead last, right? And with Chile being in the top position, and Haiti being in the least competitive position, right? Below countries such as Honduras and Guatemala, and in other places that are currently having incredible civil strife, drug violence, but yet they're still in a much more competitive situation for business than Haiti. And we're gonna get into it because I have to make it clear, and very clear that as much as I advocate for investment and business activity in the country, this isn't a rosy-eyed, naive call for people to come in the country, right? It's a conversation point that we talk about here. But anyone who's been watching me long enough knows, the idea is, how do we do it right? How do we move, and how do we do it in a way that maximizes your chance for success? Because we know that no country is going to improve or change without business, right? And the ideal way it should come about is a government that is taking itself very serious and doing everything it can to improve the environment. And that's one reason why I flipped from a situation where I was really for President Moise to stay around for stability's sake, but I flipped over to a perspective of no, we should get him out. Particularly when I started hearing that, it's not just to get him out and put someone else in. Every sector of the opposition, every sector from the person on the ground to either other political actors, even the elite that are speaking on this issue, they're all saying, nous besoin chavirer tout système là, ça veut dire they want to overturn the whole entire system. It's not the point of getting President Moise out isn't just to get another president in and continue business as usual. The point of getting him out is to change the system completely, to get a new constitution in, and a constitution that, one of the biggest things that I know that has enticed me for sure has been the fact that we're going to have full inclusion of the diaspora. There is no, the diaspora can't be senators, the diaspora can't be deputies. And not only can the diaspora hold any office, right, in the country, but additionally, there's going to be provisions done to allow diaspora to vote anywhere they're on the world. If there's embassy, if there's a consulate that exists in their neck of the woods, any Haitian national or any person of Haitian descent, to be quite frank with you, will be able to walk in and vote on what's going on candidates in Haiti, right? And that's that total integration is a very big and important step to getting Haiti to change at the macro level, right? What the stuff we're doing here, it's a macro level discussion. How can a few guys with inspirations to provide jobs and change things, it's a micro discussion we're having. And how do we succeed? I'm proof I'm succeeding. I know other people who are succeeding, and we're driving the conversation of how to overcome challenges. And I feel we're doing a pretty okay job at it, right? But really, the impact needs to happen at the macro level. That's the reality of it, and that's why I honestly have some hope about these protests, and stand with the protesters, because this is a rare opportunity to hit the reset button, and try to do this experiment called Haitian democracy over, learn from what we've done that hasn't worked, and incorporate aspects that might work. No one knows the best formula that's going to move Haiti forward, but certainly we need to tweak the formula. We can't keep going in the same direction as we have been, right? And so, going back to the performance rankings, a lot of these really, if we're talking about the rankings and a lot of these items 6 months ago, I'd say a lot of these, I don't really see how they can change quickly. But given that we are in this very interesting time right now in Haitian history, where potentially we have an opportunity to do over everything, there is an opportunity here potentially to get at some of these issues that have been plaguing the country. So let's go into the first aspect of it, right? The very first aspect of it is, and you know what? Here's what I'm going to try to do. By the way, let's see if I can. Let's see if I can do some here, just to kind of see if I can get you guys to be able to look on my screen and be able to look at what I'm looking at here, right? It might be easier for you guys to stick along if you guys can see what I'm seeing. Okay. All right. You guys should be able to see my screen right now. Yeah, I think so. All right. And so, all right. Yeah, that should be it. All right. And so the very first thing we're looking at is right now is the institutions, right? And we're looking at security as a subset, and we see organized crime, right? Organized crime 1 through 7, and where do we rank? We rank 138, right, out of 141, right? Homicide rate is at 115, again out of 141, right? This is per 100,000, right? Terrorism incidents. We can at least say that there isn't much of a terroristic threat in Haiti, right? And reliability of police services, out of 141, we're at 140 in the country, right? We got to have these conversations, guys. These conversations are important to have. They're hard to have. Believe me, they're hard to have, but we have to have these conversations because we need to know how to move forward. We got to know where we're at. We have to be able to diagnose the issue, right? So we know how to move forward, right? Social capital, NA, which that in and of itself isn't the best place to be. You have budget transparency, NA. That's not a good place to be, right? Judicial independence, 137, right, out of 141. Efficiency of legal framework, 123. On the bright side, we have a pretty free press, right? On the bright side, we have a pretty free press, right? That's good. That's good to know. Public sector performance, again, just looking at the rankings here, that's really the stat you want to keep an eye on. And throughout, we're hovering between 100 and 134. Incidents of corruption, 134, right, out of 140. Property rights in general are in a terrible situation, from 139 to 141. Corporate governance, equally doing poor. And in future orientation of government. Now let's stop. Let's stop here for a second, right? Let's stop here for a second. Let me bring this back to me. Let's stop here for a second. So how exactly does how do we move forward given those stats just for institutions, right? And that's really where a new government, you know, would potentially have the opportunity to make an immediate impact to change those stats, right? A new government that indeed emphasizes judicial independence, right? A new government that emphasizes a budget transparency, right? Because leaving things as they are right now, there is no incentive for the government as it was to change a thing, right? Because as we know, the amount of corruption, the amount of money that this is just a guy talking, um, uh, just out of his conspiracies. I mean, we have noted facts during the recent prime minister push that folks were receiving $100,000 for their vote, right? And so certainly having um, an emphasis on a government that has transparency, right? That includes certain pushes for one of the hopefully some of the newer laws that we pass will be those that will provide protections for property rights for folks who buy. As someone who's going to buy land very soon here in Haiti, I'm terrified, right? Given the stories that I know have happened to many people of many claims for land that exist. Whenever you try to buy land, right? You buy from someone, and then two or three other people come up and say, "No, actually, this is my land. Here's proof of paperwork," right? Um, and of course, there's certain aspects that I didn't even cover, which is a future orientation of government, where you look at certain things the government has been able to pass within the last couple of years, and we already talked about how the Haitian government, in its current version, its current iteration, has not been able to do anything. Right. So let me stop right there. Let me see what the comments are. If we have any comments on this right now, let me just bring this. Let's bring this back over here. That's what folks are saying. Um, let's see. So we have Gene Dorneval. I'm not sure if I've seen you in the live here, but good morning, brother. I can't wait to see what happens next. Um, uh, he doesn't have anyone to answer to, or yeah. We'll see if he is able to survive. How benevolent Mr. President Moise is, right? John Revelation. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We have living with Nicole and Gina here, and saying, we scroll here. Don't know if Haitian have the mental capacity not to get screwed by China. Yeah, again, that is a fair conversation to have. I don't mind that conversation. I'm just saying we should have the right to be able to make our own choice, right? And we can conversate about that all day, right? I would love to have that conversation. But that conversation I've necessarily feel we're even there to be able to have yet, because we can't make the choice, right? G. Norville says that's not the truth. That's what they're hiding behind the game. Once he's oystered, it'll be business as usual. I don't think that's going to be acceptable to a lot of the people who are in the streets right now. That's certainly, um, yeah, I can tell you, as someone who's in the country, there is no business as usual. There isn't going to be just a provisional government that pushes a new administration in. The provisional government that's going to come in place is going to be one that's going to, the next step of the provisional government is going to be there's a specific term um, when you're founding a constitution, where in fact, I read it on air on Friday when I was talking about the proposed next steps. I would have to take a look at my notes, but the next step is a provisional government that is going to usher dialogue around what a new constitution is going to be needed, and then we're going to move forward. So, I can tell you, someone who's um, as close to the political situation, given the conversations I'm being privy to, that isn't going to happen. Or if they think that is what's going to happen, we're going to be right back here with massive protests because, again, it is not a business as usual sort of protest this round. If Jovenel does leave, nothing short of a new constitution is going to get people off the streets, right? John Revelation, diaspora should not be denied access any longer. Kenal David says, first step is solving the problem is to acknowledge. Absolutely. Do you think Haiti would benefit for a national service program? I think so. I think a required 1 or 2 year service would certainly help on many aspects. With one thing certainly being fostering civic pride, and certainly we can gear it towards providing a generation of Haitians important skill sets needed around agriculture, around educating the next round that would be harder to do if we didn't have it, right? So I'm with that. I'm with that certainly. Dibloke says mental fortitude or not, Haiti needs basic infrastructure. China can build. Yeah, agreed. Lita Midget. Okay. Good morning. Strongly disagree with Haiti doing business with China. Hey, listen. Lita follows up and says Haitians need to get it together so we can be here on our own. I guess he's trying to say. I fully appreciate that, and I'm not gonna argue back or anything. I'm just gonna take that comment. I respect your perspective, and all I'm saying is we should have the right to decide. And the Haitian government has no say in the matter, right? And once we know we can decide, then I am totally with a full on argument on the topic. But right now, it doesn't even matter what we think. The Haitian government isn't capable of choosing China over Taiwan at this point in time. If the diaspora situation could change overnight, and we have diaspora politicians, would help immensely. It would give a different perspective into how Europeans do politics. It's the key to the game. I agree with you. Certainly. Debloque says, apart from China, no sane investor will take a risk in Haiti's melting pot. I guess I'm insane. I guess the almost approaching dozen employees that are have jobs because I'm here in the country doing things. Appreciate my insanity. My countless associates that I know are in the country right now who are doing business and employing Haitians and really a part of the change are insane as well. You know, I guess the same thing to do is to sit in the sidelines and or just throw money at the American Red Cross and feel like you're doing something. I'm sure that's the same thing. Or the insane thing to do is actually, not just be a participant watching a stream, but actually figure out, okay, if business is the way to go about it, and it is difficult to do business in the country, how do you do it the right way? And what we've talked about many times is, do it slowly, do it carefully, build a network, and succeed. Because when you actually do have a chance to go to Haiti, I'm not sure if Dibloke has ever been to the country. Probably not. You'll see that the business class, any business you go into, it's run by or let me see, Haitians that don't look the part. Let's put it like that, because I do consider if you're born on the territory, you're Haitian, right? Dessalines was very clear. Dessalines, in fact, Dessalines took it further. Anybody who helps the nationhood of Haiti is Haitian themselves. That's why Kenskoff, an area north of Petroville, exists. It was a part of it was area given to Polish conscripts that helped the Haitian army win its independence. That's why there was a very large footprint in Germany in the north, because there was a very large segment of German troops as well that helped Haiti. And Dessalines was very clear. Dessalines wasn't for mass genocide of white people. Dessalines was very much whoever is here to help Haiti advance is Haitian. Doesn't matter what your skin color is. And it's a perversion that a lot of very, I'm gonna just say, uneducated people have really said and put on, Haitian's history that it's Haiti is only for, you know, Africans. That's never been Dessalines' point. You know, it's whoever is there to help. And so when you go, but when you go into, when you actually visit Haiti and you see that most of the business owners are of a different, right, look differently, aren't what you would expect. The question you should ask is, how are they able to succeed? How are they able to advance? How are they able to uh, overcome the very difficult? And that's the question no one ever really asks, right? How are they overcome? But yet you have people like Dibloke saying, "Oh, it's insane. You can't come to Haiti," right? And that's really why we're here. We're here to have those discussions on, again, what's the strategy? And the strategy is, we've talked about it, and I'll say it again and again: do it slowly, bridge a network, leverage that network, take the necessary precautions. And Haiti is more than capable to um, more than capable to advance and succeed in business in the country, right? Could it be easier? Certainly, and that's why I'm going over the business competitive matrix, right? The day Haiti really will be able to accelerate its growth from a GDP perspective is when anybody, anywhere, can just say, I want to overnight tomorrow. I want to drop $100,000 in some venture in Haiti, and just here, and know they have the legal backing to do so. Know that they can, if something goes south, they can just even online probably fill a petition to a Haitian court and get a good percent of their assets back. So those, I get those sort of criticisms. It's not streamlined as it could be to make investment a sure thing. But to say that no business should happen when we know business is the only thing that can drive a country forward, that's what will get me. That's when you see another side of me on stream, right? Because that isn't at all, how things are able to move forward, right? So let's get back to let's get back to this. Let's get back to this, right? We'll get back to the comments in a moment. Here we go. All right. All right. Did I do that right? Okay, there we go. Right. So next up is infrastructure, right? Transport infrastructure. Scroll down a little bit, and we have the ranking 135, right? And what composites infrastructure? We have road connectivity, quality of road infrastructure, railroad density, NA. By the way, I read that. I was like, yeah, we don't have that. And by the way, we used to have that back in early 1910s. I just read a little pamphlet that said that gave we had rail lines from Okap to Jacmel to Okai, and so again in 100 years that has ceased to exist, which is very sad. Efficiency of train services, airport connectivity, efficiency of air transport services, liner shipping connectivity, and efficiency of seaport services, right? And all of these are between 90 and 130th rank. With probably the least, the most positive being the shipping connectivity, and that's thanks to potentially the amount of people who send dooms over to Haiti. Let's keep going, right? Third pillar, we have ICT adoption, which is mobile cellular telephone subscriptions. We have mobile broadband subscriptions, fixed broadband, and fiber internet subscriptions, internet users, and that ranks between 130 and 111, right? And that really has to do with the connectivity from a internet / telecom perspective, right? Right. Let's get rid of that, right? And what do we have here? And then we have macroeconomic stability, right? Which, as we talked about even in the last episode, inflation being sitting at 19.5% year over year. Certainly one of the top 5 highest inflation environments in the world, at 133. ranking, and we have depth dynamics at 107. With one thing that we don't talk about much is that the Petrocaribe money that we squandered wasn't just free money. It was money that we're paying 1% interest in, and has drastically increased our debt situation. Right. Our fifth pillar being health, which is really based on life expectancy, 122 out of 141. The skill set of the workforce has is so this is where I can tell you I strongly disagree with um, this, because I can tell you that as someone who is in the labor market in Haiti, the amount of very skilled people that are jobless is extraordinary, and the skill set and the capacity for folks, if someone can read this and interpret it as, oh, the capacity of the labor force in the country is low, which is not true. The opportunity for the workforce in the country is low, and because of such, it's hard to grow any individual skill sets when you have the lack of opportunities to work on your skill set. Right? It's one of those things what comes first, right? And so, but let's read it. You may disagree with the doctor, but you have to read the diagnosis before the assessment before you can get a proper diagnosis. And so for the skills of the current workforce, you have extended staff training, 140, quality vocational training, skill set of graduates, digital skills among active population, ease of finding skilled employees, uh, and future work school life expectancy. I guess that's NA right there. And then we have critical thinking in teaching, 139 and 115. Seven pillar being product market, right? And domestic competition, dead last, right? And what does that mean, right? What does that mean? What composites that? And that is the distortive effects of taxes and subsidies and competition. That has to do mainly with franchise. I've talked about in the past, that basically a small subset of people are able to bring stuff into the country without paying any import tax, while smaller players are unable to take advantage of it. And I've talked about how one of the things that need to happen is that this entire franchise system needs to go away. Everyone needs to pay a tax, but the tax maybe should be cheaper, maybe at 1 to 5%, and lower the playing field in a certain, except for things that really matter. For example, agriculture. We certainly probably need rice to be taxed back up to 40%, so we can have an opportunity to grow in our domestic agricultural production, right? So things of that sort. Extent of market dominance. Again, a lot of the market is controlled by a very small percentage of people in terms of what's imported. And competition and service, 137. Trade openness is 139. Trade tariffs and competitive complexity of tariffs are low, and that's not necessarily a good thing. It's that we haven't really had many laws around the inclusion of Haiti being, is CARICOM, for example. Haiti has not implemented many of the things CARICOM and its one Caribbean market would have wanted, and thus it is low. But that isn't because of anything that the government of Haiti has done positively. We have border clearance efficiency, right? And we have the labor market. So we're done with that, with the product market. And the crux to understand there is the products, the way the products come into the country is what's driving that metric to be so low. And then we have the labor market in general, redundancy of costs. So there isn't. That's actually probably the lowest or highest ranking thing in Haiti, right? Hiring and firing practices, 80. Though there are certain things based on how long someone's been working with you determines how much money you would give them. Cooperation in labor employer relations, low, right? Very low. No surprise there. We have flexibility of wage termination. We have active active labor market policies, workers' rights, ease of hiring of foreign labor, and international labor mobility, right? Um, Meritocracy and incentives, uh, reliance of professional management, dead last, dead last, right? Dead last. I mean, sometimes you got to just pause and really take that in, right? Pay and productivity, dead last. Remember, it's 141 countries. We're 141 in this particular stat, dead last, right? Ratio of wages, female to male, 84 ranking. Labor tax rate has us at 43. Labor tax rate has us at 43, right? Moving on to the financial system, 137, 137, right? With probably the stat when you really look at it is the financing of small to medium businesses, dead last, right? Right. And stability, right? Also, stability overall, the financial system actually is a strong point in Haiti, somewhat in terms of the overall environment. But the credit gap, which is the stat versus those without versus who do, this is a stat that we don't. Unfortunately, we are. It's an inverse stat. It's basically we're dead last in that situation, right? And looking further, we're almost done here. Market size, and the market size is really based on your GDP. We're at 131 there. Imports of goods, this again, one of those inverse stats that, yeah, it's great that we're 36th ranked in terms of the importation of goods and services, but that is to the cost of the fact that we aren't exporting anything, right? Business dynamism, it has to do with administrative requirements, the cost of starting business. Honestly, the fact that we're not at 141 is surprising to me. We have the time to start a business, which is sitting at, I can tell you for a corporation, sits at 3.5 months, right? When things are good and there's no, protests and grievances that are shutting down certain administrative offices that are needed. Insolvency recovery rate, so entrepreneurial culture. So this I also have disagreements with, because when you look around Haiti and you see the amount of mama seas that exist, to me, that is what you can constitute an entrepreneur, right? But I guess what they're talking about is the formal entrepreneur markets. And again, this is the reason why Bunge is so important, why Bunge needs to be helped out, because they were providing an avenue to a more formal entrepreneurial network, right? And then there's some of the things that component that are, attitudes towards entrepreneurial risk. My friend Dibloque is a part of that, right? I don't see the, he's a part of that. 139. Willingness to delegate authority, growth of innovative companies, and companies embracing disruptive ideas. All of these are, dead last. And I can tell you too, a big part of it is that there's a lot of companies that would love to really innovate, but ultimately the customer base isn't themselves ready for sort of innovation, right? And that's something we can talk about on another episode. And then finally, we have the innovation capability, and that's the diversity of workforce, state cluster development, stakeholder collaboration, scientific publication score, R&D expenditure, patent applications, and all these things. To be quite frank, I'm surprised we're not dead last, because certainly I don't know of any institutions that are really pushing R&D and patent applications in the country, right? So that's probably one for me to gain a little bit out of, right? And then finally we have that's it. And then we're now in Honduras, right? So let's bring this back home. Let's bring this back home, guys, right? Let's bring that back home. So we ran through that. Those who still here after that exercise, hats off to you. You guys are the real MVPs, right? But certainly It's really important that we talked about this. Really important that we talked about this. In particular, though, I want to get back and in the transportation. Everything else that we've talked about here are things that So the first number one was the basically the government. Everything else, all the other bullet points, we can provide, right? All the other things that I talked about here in this analysis by the World Economic Forum. We have the capacity. Obviously, transportation that's still in the domain of the government, right? The road connectivity that we can't provide that. But when it comes to helping foster, um, you know, for example, Access IT was founded by Haitian diaspora, two Haitian diaspora who came back. They were in South Florida, came back and started Access Haiti, which is to me probably the best internet service in the country. There's no reason why there couldn't be additional players in that space, right? When you look at certain things, for example, the health situation in the country, there is I know a lot of friends who are nurses here in the country that would love to go and found a clinic, right? Hire local nurses and structure the pricing in a way that is somewhat is affordable for the people living in that area, in addition to being subsidized, right? In addition to being subsidized, right? We have um, uh, a product market, right? That certainly, that is going to require a bigger push. That's going to require a bigger push to clean up because there's entrenched interests, right, that make it very difficult to bring products into the country to compete. But certainly, one of the first things that I would hope a reformed government will do will remove the franchise system that allows certain players, certain connected players, to bring products in import free. Right? When you look at the labor market, certainly, as I mentioned, one of the things that drive the stats is the fact there's a lack of jobs, a lack of folks who are able to bring their skills to a labor market and grow, right? And that's where the RESA's national certainly have an opportunity to provide. The financial system and the banks, they're doing fine. Year over year, the banks in Haiti are profitable. But certainly, there's a problem. The biggest problem with the banks in Haiti, in my opinion, is that, for example, me as someone who is building an enterprise that isn't necessarily drawing income from my enterprise directly just yet, though it's profitable. Um, and because I also moonlight as a consultant for companies in the States, and my income is coming in from the States, I can't go and borrow from a Haitian bank because my income is a foreign income, right? It's not income based off activity in the country. That needs to change, right? If you have income anywhere, right, you should be able to use that income to say, look, and also prove other things to say, okay, look, I'm very much entrenched in the country. I have these businesses, I have these homes. You can, if I don't pay, you can come after those, but but not the diaspora needs access to the capital market in Haiti so they could much easierly, right? That's a word. It's not, to be able to do activity in the country. And certainly the laws need to go in place to allow that to change. Because as it stands right now, I can't even get a car loan in the country, which is problematic, despite the fact that my income and other things are going very well, right? Market size, obviously, that's going to change because of our capacity, innovative capability, and entrepreneur, which is a big part of that. Is actually, I think I missed one here. Business dynamism. That certainly is based off of allowing the diaspora to come in with their managerial practices that are in line with how things are run internationally, to come in, and it would certainly help improve that innovative capability, allowing greater integration of the diaspora domestically, and you guys being there to help drive diversity, being there to drive, uh, you know, partnering with academic institutions in Haiti to to improve their academic institutions. These are all things that, if there was a greater plug-in from the diaspora, uh, and we don't have to wait. That's always been my thing. We don't have to wait. We can drive that ourselves. But certainly, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the reform that's coming to help improve that situation. All right. So I think that was a very great discussion. But let me take a look at these stats. Let me look at these comments in the stream here. Let's see what folks are saying. We have, let's see, where are we? Where are we? Okay, here we go. So Lita Midget, I agree. Agreeing with Dibloki's statement. Then we have Farrah Jackson saying that's the truth. The same people in the corrupt system. Pour nous gérer à fait nous. All right, agree. I agree with you. We should have national service. It's in Eritrea and it has been vital. Said David Bassett. We have JKL. Haitians we should do for ourselves. That's what I'm trying to figure out because I want to open my business and create jobs for my area. The problem is with us in the U.S. We all lack support to each other. Absolutely. We could potentially start to solve a lot of our problems on our own if we focused on decentralizing the country, let each state run its own affairs, unelected. And that's one of the things that have been proposed, by the way, in the new constitution that a lot of folks have been talking about. Much more decentralization, certainly. Let investments trickle down on a regional level with the federal government stepping in to support and subsidize. Totally agree. Hey, why do you start so early? Because I have my own business affairs I need to run, and knocking out the stream early in the morning is the best for me. And also, I've talked to folks, and as folks are doing their morning routine, they're able to follow and keep up with what I'm saying. So the mornings is better, certainly better for me, and is better for a lot of different folks. Farrah Jackson was asking to zoom in. I apologize. Should have zoomed in a little bit on what I was doing there. But the link is going to be below. The link for the article is below, so you can go ahead and take a look at that. Right, John Revelation, great info is going to be in the link below. That's the WEC. That's going to be below. You can be able to download the PDF yourselves and take a look. Thanks. Thanks for noticing I was even gone. Appreciate it. Lita Midget, that this is my first live, so I did catch up on the conversation I see at the table. But I have one question, and that is, does Haiti have any exporting? No, Haiti has exporting goods. Mangoes, Vivier, which is a oil used mainly in perfumes. Avocados is another something else. Minerals, actually, we export quite a bit of minerals out to the world as a whole. So we do have some exports, and I've talked about what those exports have been in prior episodes, where we break down what those exports have been. And I guess it's probably time for me to review my notes and do another episode on that soon. And so but we do export, but certainly it's not enough to really change the game. And certainly not nowhere as much as we import, right? And certainly we're importing a lot of agricultural products, which is to the detriment of our domestic agricultural environment and ecosystem. But we do export. It's just a drop in the bucket relative to what we're importing. How do I feel about Duvalier's son? I'll be honest. It's the same way I'd feel about Hitler's son. I don't think Hitler's son should have right to run for presidency in Germany, and I don't necessarily feel it's appropriate that a former dictator's son, who, by the way, I wouldn't necessarily feel one way or another about Duvalier if he had denounced what his father and great-father and grandfather did in the country in terms of some of the human rights abuses, the massive human rights abuses that his family was a part of, in addition to the millions of dollars that they took with them when they left the country. If he had denounced that, if he had said anything negative to apologize for that, I think A lot of people would appreciate that as a first start, just to even say, hey, I recognize my folks did some negative things in addition to some positive things. A lot of folks do talk about how there were some positive things happening in the country at the time, it being peaceful, quote unquote. And I talked about that in the past. But the fact that he's never yet acknowledged that, in fact, he harkens the time of his um, grandfather and father as the best time. I think there's a lot of people who disagree with that. I know a lot of people, for example, in Seejeanty, who suffered a very large massacre, uh, would not appreciate being told that that time was one of the best times, right? And so that's my perspective. He says a lot of nice things, and but a lot of politicians say a lot of nice things, and I don't think it's appropriate for him to probably run, given the history, the human rights, massive human rights abuse history that his family was a part of, right? So that's for my opinion. I gave it to you, right? Leader Midget says we networking is would help stats, uh, stats improve the situation in the country. So we're having conversations, right? And certainly the content I'm putting out is a part of that. And certainly as folks have ideas and they want to reach out to me and vet them out, my contact information is below. You're more than welcome to reach out for folks who actually have ideas. I don't network just for the sake of networking, right? I don't have time for that. I do have time for folks who actually have ideas and who are just looking for ways to execute those ideas and already done the groundwork. Because one of the first things I ask when someone reaches out to me, I want to do this. Have you visited the country? Visit the country for a while and then come back to me, right? There's that is a fundamental step of doing business, given the reality of how Haiti is right now. Well, not right now, but generally, you have to come and get familiar with the situation on the ground before you do anything. Whatever idea you may think you have, if you don't found a way to be able to come in the country, even after you execute it, Haiti isn't a place where you can just execute from abroad and live abroad. You have to have a way that you can consistently come back into the country to check on your investment, check on the progress, right? And manage. You can't manage from afar. And so that's why I don't, networking for the sake of networking isn't going to do anything. It's not the best use of my time, but it's certainly for folks who are coming to the country. I do clear my schedule to connect with folks, to speak with folks in terms of what they're trying to do. And I have a few folks I'm working with right now who can attest to the fact that um, I've been very useful. What I've been able to provide them one on one, and I don't charge for this, by the way. I make it clear I'm not some guy trying to hustle, being a consultant. I just do it because it's what's necessary, right? And those folks who are actually executing and looking to do something country, and not just here to talk about it, but actually moving. I make time, and for those folks who made it clear to me that they're looking to do something impactful in the country, they have my direct number, right? They call me directly, they message me directly, and we have those conversations about how to move forward, how to be successful. And so, so again, the first step is message me. My contact information is below. Tell me what you're trying to do. Tell me how long you've been coming back and forth in the country to make sure you're understanding what the business environment really is. And then we can move from there, right? Let's see, email, answer that. Emails in the comments, Little Midget. Textile, the big export. Oh yeah, textile. Thank you, Farrah. Textile is another big one. I just probably is it the biggest? I think it's the biggest. Yeah, I believe it is the biggest. I want to say there's something else that's very close to it. And then let's see, never apologize. Bad behavior shouldn't be rewarded again. Let's see, LPS, Papa Dog was the first to practice propaganda. The majority of confusion happened. Those contributing to Africa, so they have somewhere to go. We need to rebuild Haiti, so we have somewhere to go. Certainly, I agree with you, Lita. And I'm looking to move. I don't know anyone else, but America's not looking too good. All right, lots of great comments, right? And I do appreciate the amount of conversation we had today. It is appreciated. This episode did go longer as I expected because I really wanted to deep dive into what was in the stats So the folks who stuck around the entire episode, kudos to you guys, right? And this is what Haiti Business is all about. It's about having real conversations around real issues related to the business environment and not sugarcoating anything. This is what needs, this is how it is. But yeah, we know how it is, but we still need to move forward. And how do we do it? And these conversations are a big part of it, right? So this is where we're going to end it. Remember, HaitiBizNews.com, is a site created. We go out to interwebs. We pull articles from across the internet and we translate it to English automatically for you to read and stay in the know. BookHaiti.com. Once the country settles, remember, that's going to be a resource for you guys. Bunge, GoFundMe needs your support, guys. Bunge needs your support. That's also in the link below. Make sure you go and check that out. Absolutely necessary to get that ecosystem back on its feet, right? And again, remember, we're back here 7 a.m. Monday through Friday until we're back at it again, guys. We'll be back at it again. Peace.